Hey guys, Tex here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to go through my entire TradeStation layout here. I'm going to walk you through what I have found to be the most efficient layout for me personally in the way that I like to trade. So we'll kind of go through all of my desktops and my workspaces that I have open and just kind of show you, like I said, how I've laid everything out and maybe give you some ideas if you're thinking about going to TradeStation or you're already using TradeStation. All right, guys, so as always, I appreciate you watching the video. Let's roll the intro and get started. All right, guys, so welcome back. Now, first and foremost, you can see my entire big monitor that I sit in front of here on the screen. I don't usually record this whole monitor for you guys because obviously it's 4K resolution. There's a lot on the screen here, and anyone who's watching this on a smaller monitor or like a tablet or something, everything's just going to be so teeny tiny that you really can't see it. Usually, you are seeing me record on this screen here. So basically what this is recording is just one of my desktops. Okay, so when you have TradeStation, the way that they have the platform laid out is you have what are called desktops, and then within desktops you have what are called workspaces. And workspaces are where you actually place your charts and your time and sales and your market depth and all that stuff that you might want to use. So for example, if you come up to the top of the platform here, you go to File, and you'll see that there are desktops. Here you can create a new desktop, and it's going to create a new window. So this whole window here is a desktop. Let me go to the big screen for you, right? So I'll minimize this so you can see it, right? So that's gone. This was my main desktop. That's what I called it, my main desktop. So let me pull that back up. So inside of my main desktop, there are several workspaces, and you can see those across the bottom of the platform. Let me make the screen bigger for you guys here now. All right, so here we're looking at our main desktop, and let me also hide my webcam so I'm out of the way. All right, so here you're looking at the main desktop, and you'll see across the bottom here, these are all different workspaces. So I can click on these different workspaces, and in each one of those, I can have different charts. I can have, all of the different things that you might want to be monitoring within the platform. All right, so going back over here to this first workspace, basically what you would do here if you wanted to start creating a workspace after you've created a desktop, then you would create a workspace. You can actually just click this little plus icon here. You'll see that it's created a new untitled workspace, and this is where we can start placing our objects. Now first I'll just mention you probably by default when you install TradeStation, you're gonna have some crap up here across the top. If you go to the view here, the view menu, you can turn off I think shortcuts or something like that. It's these. I believe it's these right here. For example, the trade bar. I think that's open by default, right? So yeah, it looks like this. You'll have like trade and you'll have some other crap up there. Just go to view and then turn that off. Just select that and just turn everything off until all you have are these menus right here. And it's going to give you a lot more screen real estate, especially if you're working with a smaller monitor. So that's really helpful. And the other thing that I'll mention is across the bottom of the platform down here, you're probably also going to have something that looks like this. It probably looks like this, right? So I'm recording this using my simulation account because your account number is actually listed in several different windows throughout the platform, so it's just a lot easier for me to edit the video without having to hide my account number. But obviously it's going to show your account number down here. It's going to show your open P&L, your closed P&L, and I like to trade with my P&L hidden. So for me, this is not going to work with this down here. So I do want to see these workspace tabs, right? However, so I can come up here and go to view, go to platform toolbars, and by default, it's going to be on workspace bar and status bar. You can select to just show the status bar, which is your account number and all that crap down there, or you can select to just show the workspace bar, and then I'll get rid of that. This clock you see here, this is actually a third-party application. I think I still have the link to that. It's free. I'll put a link in the description below if I can find it. But I like this down here because I can see the time of the day very easily, and it gives me the seconds counting down, which is actually really useful for the type of setups that we trade. I'll also mention that I'm trading with Smash the Bid, which is a trading and education service. And so he uses TradeStation, which is why I'm making the switch here to TradeStation. So there will be some indicators and things on my chart that are proprietary to him and his service that I'm not going to be able to share with you. But I will put a link to his service in the description box below if you want to come by and check it out. That's where I'm learning now and where I'm hanging out. Really good group of traders who, obviously take it seriously, but can also really kick back and shoot the shit. Just a good, well-rounded group of people there, and very happy. So with that said, once you've created a workspace, you're going to get to all of your charts and the things that you want to put in your workspace by going to the File menu, go to New Application, and for example, we can open a chart here. You can go to Chart Analysis, and that's what you're basically calling a chart. And you can open your charts, and you can come in here, and I'm not going to go through like all the settings, but there's tons of settings. You can go through Settings, Window, and you'll see there's like lots of settings in here, and I'll just kind of show you what you can change. I mean, there's so many different aesthetics you can change, and like I said, I'm not going to go through all of those settings. It'd take forever, but feel free to go through and get that all set up the way you want. And then what's cool about TradeStation is once you set up your chart and everything with all your settings the way you like it, you can actually copy and paste this chart into any workspace. So if I have made all the changes I wanted to and put my indicators and all that crap on here, and I'm ready to use this chart on several different workspaces, I can come up to the top here with this chart selected, go to Edit, Copy Window, and then choose Edit, Paste Window, and you'll see it paste it inside of this workspace. But I could also paste this into another workspace. I could come over to one of my other workspaces and I could paste it in here. If I go to Edit, Paste Window, you'll see that it has pasted that chart over here as well. Okay, so really easy to copy and paste charts around. You can also use the hotkeys. Press Control-Shift-C to copy the window, and Control-Shift-V will paste it if you like to use hotkeys. And just like that, you can go ahead and paste in your charts. Then you can go to Window and you can arrange them however you want. You can arrange them vertically, or you can go and arrange them in kind of like a quad format. So you go through and set up your charts that way. I'll just close everything except for one. And then, this is where you're going to go through and really kind of set up your workspace how you like. You can have your charts. You can open a market depth window. Let's see what else you can come in here. You can open, of course, a matrix, which is basically like a market depth window, but in a different format, which is actually kind of easier to read if you set it up correctly. We'll go over that in a little bit. You can go through, and like I said, I'm not going to go through everything, but just go to New Application, and this is where you can find all of the different types of windows that you can open up within a workspace. And then you can come down here and you can actually save your workspace. I'm just going to close this one. We're not going to save it. And let's go ahead and jump into the first workspace that I have open here on my main desktop. So the first one here is called Stock Tape 1. This is a layout that I got from Smash the Bid. So he trades basically something similar here. And this is where I'm going to be really dialing in, really kind of stalking an entry into a trade, or if I'm in a trade, I'm going to be really monitoring it from this workspace, or one of these stock tape workspaces, because it has the matrix over here, or the level 2, essentially the market depth. It has the time and sales. So this is our real-time order flow coming through here. And then we have a second time and sales window right here that highlights larger orders. And this will obviously be useful if we see a bunch of large orders coming in above the ask or below the bid. That can be really good information to know. And then, of course, across the left side of the workspace is where we have our 4 primary time frames that we trade. You've got the 60-minute, you've got the 30-minute, the 15-minute, and the 5-minute. So you can set that up however you want, put your indicators, all that good stuff on there. But what I would mention here with the matrix, what I've done with this Stock Tape 1 workspace is I've set the access to 10 cents. And so this is actually useful for lower price stocks. So if I'm trading Apple, or Apple that's trading at $150 a share right now, or AMD that's trading about $107 a share, for example, I'm going to be looking at it in this workspace because it's showing me the matrix, or the market depth, in 10-cent increments. So it's just easier to read, right? You see, I can see the price at 150 here, and then I can see 10 cents above it, 10 cents below it. So I can see where the sellers and where the buyers are stacking up at without having to look at it literally every single penny. So I think it's just a lot more useful in that sense. Now, if we go to the next workspace, which is called Stock Tape 2, it's the same thing, except over here I have the access set to every quarter. So every 25 cents, you'll see where the sellers and where the buyers are. And for more expensive stocks like Tesla that are trading, over $600 a share, this is just easier to read. And you can see obviously the volume profile and all of that over here as well. So the same thing, just change the access on the window, and you can come through here and adjust all of these settings. You go to data, and you go here to settings, and you can go to window. And this is where you can change like the style, the color, and all that good stuff. If you want to change the access, you can just do it right here like that, or you can also change it in the settings for the window. So you come here and this is where you can change it, right? So if you want to do every 10 cents, you do 0.10, for example, right? And then click OK. So this is another stock tape window that I'll use for monitoring a trade that I'm in, or obviously for stalking an entry into a trade. When I'm really dialing in on a specific stock, it goes here. And then I have another one here, and this one is literally just for Amazon, since I do trade it a lot, but also because Amazon is such an expensive stock, I have the matrix over here set up to dollar increments, right? So you can see here, we have the matrix trading in every dollar increments, and it's just a lot easier to read. So I did that obviously so I can very quickly and easily open a stock up in the appropriate window depending on how I want the matrix broken up into what I want the axis increments to be. All right, so that's the first three workspaces, and then I have this one is called W1, which kind of just stands for watch list 1. And here I have 4 stocks, 4 different charts arranged in a vertical format. And I have the time interval linked on all of these to this yellow color. So basically what that means is you can see I have Tesla here, Amazon, Apple, and AMD. If I want to change this time frame to say a 15-minute, it's going to change all of these to a 15-minute chart. And then we can go back to the 60. And so you can very quickly and easily go through some of your favorite stocks you like to trade and just look and see what they look like on different time frames. So this one is, for watch list 1, these are like the primary stocks I like to trade. Then you have watch list 2, we'll have 4 different stocks here. And then watch list 3, we have another 4 stocks here. So that's very helpful for monitoring a handful of stocks throughout the day. The next workspace I have here is called 4X, and it just kind of stands for 4 time frames. So this one actually has the same ticker, but all with 4 different time frames. So we have the 5-minute, the 15, the 30, and the hourly. And so this is actually linked to a watch list over on the left side of my monitor. So let me show you the big screen again. So here you go, right? This is what I'm looking at here, but over here on this left side, I have a separate desktop. This is a desktop on its own, and there's a workspace in this desktop that I just called Radar, which basically is what they call the watch list. If you go to File, New Application, and you go to Radar Screen. Radar Screen is going to open your watch list. And you can see that this watch list here has everything that I pretty much like to monitor. I have the markets across the top. So I have the NASDAQ futures, the S&P futures, the Russell 2000 futures, the S&P 500 index itself, the VIX. Then I have all of the ETF equivalents. Then I have the sectors, and I have them listed according to their weight in the index. So technology being the heaviest weighted sector on the top. Then you have healthcare, consumer discretionary, communications, and so on. So at a glance, I can see how the markets look, up, down, and how each sector looks up, down, etc. I also put the average true range over here. So that's kind of useful to see, how much have we traded based on the average true range of the day. And then here I have the primary stocks that I like to trade. These are stocks that I actually have modeled using Smash's mathematical model for plotting areas of supply and demand. And so this, like I said, this watch list is over here that I can easily look at and reference. And then I have my rules just listed on the bottom because it's a real convenient place to do that. The way I did that is just right click on any cell, go to data, and then add a label row, and it will add this label row that you can actually just type notes in or whatever. And so I put my rules there. But this watch list here is set up so that it's actually linked to this 4X workspace here. And you have to do global linking because it's two different desktops. So because this is a desktop and this over here is a desktop, I used global linking. So for example, if I come in here, it's on NVIDIA right now. So if I come in here and click on Amazon, what that's going to do is go ahead and load Amazon's charts up here. And then this workspace here next to it called daily is also linked to this watch list, right? So this allows me to kind of scan through the markets. This is what I use to do my nightly scanning or just scanning during the trading day. If I want to look for possible trade ideas, I'll click on a stock over here on my watch list and it will load it up in these two workspaces over here. So let me make the screen smaller again for you guys. So we're looking at this daily workspace, and this is where I have my daily chart, or it's on a weekly chart right now, but I can switch back and forth between a daily, a weekly, or monthly. That's what I use this chart for. This chart is exclusively for the 240-minute chart or the 4-hour chart, and then over here I have a 60-minute chart. And then again, if I go to this 4X workspace here, this is where I can dial it down into smaller time frames. We have a 60 here as well, 30, 15, and 5. So all of that is set on Amazon, right? If I go back over to my watch list off the screen here and I click on a different stock, let's pull up Tesla. So you'll see now it's going to go ahead and load Tesla's daily chart here, the 4-hour chart, the 60-minute chart, and then I can come down here and click on this 4X workspace and boom, I have my Tesla charts all the way down to a 5-minute there as well. So I can scan through the market very quickly and easily through my watch list, and I use these two workspaces that are linked to that watch list to do that. And then the last workspaces I have here are exclusively for the market itself. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's got the NASDAQ futures, the S&P futures, the S&P cash index here, and then the ETF equivalent, of course, SPY. I usually leave these on a 240-minute chart, but you'll see sometimes I'll change it to the 60-minute chart. But I like having an independent workspace for the market itself. That way it's just really quickly it's just really easy to quickly reference that. And then the workspace next to that, this one is actually new that I just opened, and it's exclusively for SPX because I'm looking at possibly trading options on SPX, day trading options on SPX. So I want to be able to have a workspace just for SPX to be able to go ahead and reference that if I want to take a trade on it. I can do so there. It's not totally necessary, of course, because I could just come over here and I could open up SPX on this one. But for right now, I do have that one there. And then the last workspace is our internals. And this is, again, if you're not familiar, the market internals kind of give us a more granular look sort of under the hood of the market beyond just looking at a chart of the S&P 500, right? This kind of shows us what is actually going on. Here we have the tick for the New York Stock Exchange. It's the symbol is $tick, T-I-C-K. And I like to look at this on a 15-minute chart so I can kind of see the tick distribution throughout the day. Are they accumulating below or above the zero line? And, you know, how far are they hitting? So it's just kind of good. I just use drawing tools. I just put lines at the 1,000, -1,000, and so on. Here is the breadth or the VOLD. It's $VOLD. And this is looking also at the New York Stock Exchange. And this is just kind of telling us the volume of stocks advancing versus declining. You can see today we had some pullback in the market. So you have a lot of volume to the downside here. And then over here you have the advanced decline line. This is $ADD. Again, this is also looking at the New York Stock Exchange. And this is just telling us the number of stocks in the New York Stock Exchange that are advancing versus declining. And you can see again today, I mean, there's a lot of decliners. And this is essentially measuring from the prior day's close. So we can see there's a lot of stocks that are down on the day today, which makes sense because the market did have a bit of a pullback today. Now we come down here to the bottom. I have this up for the VIX. So this is for monitoring the volatility on the S&P 500. Obviously, when the S&P 500 sells off, we will typically see some type of movement inverse of that in the VIX, and so it's just kind of good to monitor that here. This is for the ETF that tracks semiconductors. You can see semiconductor ETF. This is just kind of useful because I trade a lot of tech. This is useful to be able to see what the semiconductor is doing, because if they're weak, then it will often be difficult for tech to find a bid all around. So just kind of a good tool to look at there. And the last one here I have set up for the put to call volume ratio. It's a $PCVA here in TradeStation. And it just kind of gives us an idea of, what is the put to call volume ratio. So essentially, if you see a put to call volume ratio 7 or greater, it's kind of telling us that people are buying more puts than they are calls. So that's kind of a good reference point to look at when we're getting, kind of a sense of the underpinnings in the market. All right, so that is this main workspace. Let's go back to the big monitor here for you. Okay, so that is, I'll just minimize it once again. You can see I have that main, I should say desktop. That is that main desktop that I have in front of me and where I spend most of my time. And I have all of those workspaces up that we just went through. Now the desktop over here we already talked about. The only thing I have here is a watch list. And you can just create a workspace, and then, like I showed you, go to new application and do the radar screen, and that will create your watch list, and you can put whatever you want on there. And I like to have that separate so that I can see it all the time. So when I'm actually looking over here, when I'm actually in my main desktop looking at charts and things like that, I can still see my watch list over here. It's not stuck on a workspace that I have to actually go back to. For me, it works better that way. Now across the top here is another desktop. This is, I just called it header is the name of this desktop. And I only have one workspace open on this desktop, and I just called it top charts. And the reason being is because this is like the top charts that I like to look at all the time. The charts over here on the left side are just for the market. So right now I have this set to the NASDAQ futures, and this one is set to the S&P 500 cash index. I can just change it to the S&P futures if I wanted to by typing ET, the ET symbol, and ES. And this way I can kind of monitor after hours action a little bit easier. But I like having these charts up here because they're up all the time, right? So if I'm in a trade or looking to take a trade and I'm kind of monitoring stuff over here in my main desktop, I can look up here at the top and I can see, hey, what is the market doing? Is it favorable for me to go long or short? I'm looking at the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, just very useful to see. Like, are they really selling off? Are they ripping? What are they doing? Very good to have that up at all times over there. And then across the top, the rest of the charts are just the top stocks that I like to trade. These never change. Like, I always have Amazon's chart here. I always have Tesla's chart here. And I always have Apple's chart here. Those never ever change because those are my top 3 traded stocks. These 3 over here will sometimes change depending on whatever I feel like is in play on the day and whatever else I just want to be watching on the day. So you can see I have basically 6 stocks right here across the top that I can monitor throughout the day, and they're up all the time. And then I also have 2 charts for the market up there across the top of my screen. And then the last desktop that I have open on my big 43-inch 4K monitor here is for executions. This desktop is literally called executions. I'll minimize that so you can see. It goes in that little space right there. So I'll pull that back up. So here it is. And in this desktop, I only have one workspace. It's called EX1, just for execution 1. And if I wanted to create another workspace, I could do that. But basically, it allows me to have 2 level 2 windows here, along with all of the advanced order features if I wanted to really, get advanced in placing some orders. And then I have the corresponding time and sales. Now, of course, when you have these windows like this, for example, you have this market depth of this level 2 window here, and you want to have a time and sales window linked to it, you do have to come up here and make sure that you choose the appropriate colors to link things together. The top colors here are for local only. So if I use these here, only windows in this particular workspace would be linked together, but the bottom ones are global. So this will actually link together windows in any workspace on any desktop. So this is useful if you have, for example, I was using the watch list on a separate desktop over here. To be able to load charts over here on this workspace, for example, you have to use global linking, and you'll see that the global linking looks a little bit different than if you go look at one that isn't globally linked. It's kind of a square versus I don't know, this kind of shape there. So anyways, so back to the execution window over here. Like I said, you know, you got your two level 2 windows, your corresponding time and sales, and you can just easily place orders here. I've got, for example, the Apple 149 calls up right now. And so what you can do is you can come in here and, you know, you can place your order. Just if you just want to simply get into a trade, like pretty much straight away, you can change this to hit take. And I don't really want to spend too much time on this because it's kind of getting into more of a placing an order tutorial, but you can set your contract sizes here, and you can just, you know, I'm on my sim account, so we'll just execute that. We click buy to open, and it should just execute that straight away. Let me see. Try that again. It's the simulator, so it doesn't work very well in the simulator that I've experienced, like order fills and things, but it does work fantastic with a live account. So anyways, I don't have any issues with fills on my live account, but you can see I did get something filled there. I didn't hear anything, but you can see that across the top here, I have it set up so that it shows my position and my average price. Something about that still doesn't look right. Like my average price says 0. Let me try this again just to see if I can do this. Buy to open. Maybe if I just set it to a market order. Let's try market. Huh. Interesting. Well, the simulator, like I said, it's just not realistic when it comes to order fills and all of that good stuff. So, but it shows that we have a position. So I'm just going to click the close button, and that should submit a market order to close everything out. So basically, like I said, I like this because if I'm looking at a trade, let's go back over here. So I have Apple's chart up here. So, and I can see the time and sales and all that good stuff for the underlying. So this is kind of what I'm monitoring here. Right next to it, I have my order windows, right? So I can very easily track what's going on with the option contracts, as well as what the underlying stock itself is doing. So that's actually really, really cool. Over on the side monitor, and this is everything that you see, obviously, on my big 4K monitor. So the only other desktops and workspaces that I have open are on my side monitor, which is to my right side, and I'll pull that up now. And this is just a 27-inch standard HD monitor, so it's like 1080p resolution, right? It's not a 4K monitor. So over here I have this desktop open called Account, and you'll see I have 3 workspaces open on this desktop. So it's literally sitting right next to the level 2 windows that you just saw. And so what's nice about this is I have the corresponding charts for those level 2 windows. So just real quickly going back over here, right? So this level 2 window right here, you'll see is set to the Apple 149 calls, and this one is set to Amazon 3240 calls, right? So if we go back over to my side monitor, I have those corresponding option charts pulled up here, okay? And then I have a watch list right here where I can list various strikes that I might be interested in trading on the day. So for example, here's a strike for Facebook calls. If I click that, it's going to load up the option chart here for those Facebook calls, and it also pulled up the Facebook calls there in the level 2 window where I could go ahead and execute an order. Okay, so very convenient to be able to have it right here in front of me, but also just kind of look over to my right monitor and I can easily see the option chart and what's going on over there. So let me try this. Let me see if I can execute a trade here.
Order filled.
There we go. All right, so I just clicked the button over on my main monitor to execute a trade, and you'll see that it has placed a little arrow there on the option chart, right? So let's go back over to our, let's go back over here. So all I did here is I have it set on market, and I clicked buy to open, and you'll see it filled another contract. And we'll go back over to the side monitor, and then you can see right here, there's our executions. It's it's actually really helpful to see the option chart because you can see where the premium has traded throughout the day. So it can be useful to get an idea where you might want to place your orders and things like that. So I like to have it set up like this because I don't really need to look at the options chart that much, but it is nice to be able to reference that. So I have that over on the side monitor, as you can see here, but I have the, by having the level 2 windows on the main monitor, since I spend most of the time looking at this and like going through these settings to set up advanced orders, it just makes more sense to do it that way. So jumping back over once again to that side monitor, this is where I have the, it's called Execution Options Workspace. This is where I have those two charts along with the watch list, and that's all for options. The one next to it here, Execution Futures, this is if I want to actually trade the futures. And the only futures that I really trade are the S&P 500 futures on the top and the NASDAQ futures here on the bottom, right? So I do have a time and sales window open here, but I don't have a level 2 window open because I don't really pay for the extra market depth for the futures market. So it doesn't really do me any good to have a level 2 window open. If I am going to trade off of this, all I do is just click here to open the chart trader, and you'll see that it will open that up. And then over here, I can go in and I can place a trade this way. Like literally, I can just do buy market, and it just just filled. Or if I wanted to do kind of like a more advanced order, I could attach an OSO, and let's say I want to have a stop loss. Let me close this position first.
Order filled.
All right, so we're flat. Now let's say that I wanted to get into a trade here. Let's say I wanted to buy this dip, for example, right? But I wanted to attach a stop loss and a take profit order with it at the same time. Well, I can attach an OSO, so check attach OSO, and then I would select this one limit, one stop, click this, and then here you can set the take profit order and the stop loss. Now, this is actually set up based on ticks. So it's a little bit different than if you were trading a stock or options, but just as an example, there are 4 ticks for every dollar move in the S&P futures here. So let's say that I wanted to risk $5 and I'm going to be looking for a $10 profit, right? So there's 4 ticks to every dollar, so you multiply 5 times 4, which is 20. So that means that our stop here needs to be set to 20. And then to get a 2-to-1 trade, we need our take profit order to be 40, right? So we do that, we click OK, and then I can literally just buy at market, and boom, it just filled me. And based on my average price, it immediately has submitted my stop loss order here and my take profit order up here. Let's say that I want to make an adjustment here. Maybe I want to tighten the stop up a little bit. Like if the trade starts to work in my favor, I can just click that and I can move my stop up just like that. And I can move my profit target as well. Just click that and move that, and it updates the orders, right? So now if we continue pulling back here, my stop will get hit and it'll take me out of the trade. Otherwise, if it starts to work, I have my profit target sitting up there, and whichever one gets hit first will automatically cancel the other order. Or if I just want to, let's cancel everything. Let's close. So it'll just close the position using a market order immediately. Let's say that I want to do the same thing, but I want to actually sit on the bid to see if I can get filled, right? So just do that, and it pretty much filled it straight away. But you saw that it had a line for my limit order, and I would just wait to get filled. And there you go. So kind of getting into more of how to place orders and whatnot on the platform. I wasn't intending to do that with this video, but as you can see, I'm just kind of demonstrating with a lot of ease how I can very quickly transition from trading options to futures by simply just selecting that workspace over here. All right, so let's cancel everything, close my position, and then we'll turn off chart trading, and there you go. Okay, so that's how I execute trades on the futures market. And then again, here is the workspace for my option charts and my watch list. And then the last one here is for my positions. This is where I actually have my positions window. This is where I have any open orders. So I have a separate window for open orders. It's called Trade Manager. That's the window that you're going to be looking to open up. And then I have one here for filled orders. And you'll see here status filled orders. You can choose open, queued orders, filled orders, canceled, or all orders. I like to have a separate window for my filled orders versus my open orders. So that way I can tell if there's still an open order out in the market. For example, I can see here there's still an open order in the market for Apple, and that's good to know. If I go to shut my platform down, I want to make sure I don't leave any open orders out there, right? So I should be able to come in here and just cancel that, and there you go. So I've canceled that order. And then here's my positions window. I have it set like this so I can't see my P&L. Of course, I don't like to see my P&L while I'm trading, but if you just use your mouse wheel and scroll down, you'll see how it scrolls sideways. And then here you can see where I have my actual P&L listed here. So it's kind of hidden. I could also kind of blow it up like that. But I think if I just come in here and I can just close positions like this. And since it's the simulator, again, the fills aren't realistic, so I'm not sure why that's not filling, but I have no problems with executions with the live trading account. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you are using TradeStation for the simulator, the fills are just not going to be really super accurate. And then the last thing that I have open here is the Optionstation Pro. This is actually kind of like a separate application, and the way you get to that is you can go to the File menu anywhere in the platform and go to New Application, and you'll see it here, Optionstation Pro. So you just click on that, and it's going to open up your Optionstation Pro platform, and this is where you can get access to the full option chain. I pretty much just use this to get access to the option chain. I don't, at least not right now, I don't place any complex spreads in here like broken wing butterflies or ratio spreads or anything like that. But you could certainly do that here. This is where you would go ahead and set up trades like that. But I have this linked so that if I come over here and go back to my execution option screen, this right here is linked globally to the blue color, and I did the same thing here. You'll see that I linked globally to the blue color for the Optionstation Pro window. So if I wanted to kind of change this to something else, like I could come up here and select, let's go to Tesla, and we'll pull up Tesla's option chain. And you'll see since I changed to Tesla, it actually pulled up Tesla's chart here. But once I go through the option chain and let's say that I want to look at, the 660 calls or something that are right at the money, I can click on that strike price and boom, you'll see that it actually pulls up the option chart here for the 660 calls. And then also if we go back over to our main window, you'll see that this level 2 window here has also been pulled up to those Tesla 660 calls. So that's pretty cool. Again, there's a lot of settings that you can go through, guys, in this platform. It's just, I could spend probably hours going through all of that. It's really kind of beyond the scope of this video. But one thing that I do love that I changed was on these level 2 windows, again, I can very easily see the instrument here, the symbol that I'm trading. So this is the Tesla. The year is 21, the month is 08, the expiration day is 20, it's a call, so we have a C, and the strike price. I can very easily see that right there. I can see the volume traded on the day. I can see position, so if I have an open position, however many contracts I have will be listed here, and I can see my average price. The way you can set that up, I'll just show you that because that's like really helpful. I think you go to settings and you go to quote bar, I believe. Oh, that turned it off. Let's see, go to turn on the quote bar. Maybe you do settings. Let me try this again. Right click, go to settings. Oh, go to columns. That's it. Go to settings, columns, and then quote bar. And that's going to open up this window here. And then this is where you can select what you want to see over here. And this is what I actually have open. So I just have symbol, the volume total, position, and average price. And then you click OK, and it shows you that right across the top. So it's just very convenient to be able to see your position and your average price right there all in one spot. All right, guys, I think that's everything. There was a lot to go through, as expected, with a platform that's this in-depth. But I hope you guys got something useful from the video. I appreciate you watching. Be sure and post any comments or questions below, and I'll do my best to answer those. And as always, we'll see you in the next video. And best of luck if you're getting the platform set up. It's going to be a lot. Be patient with it. But I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised with everything that you can really do in this platform. I know that I am. And if I think of anything else, I'll certainly post an updated video. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.